Welcome, everyone, back to a journey to Ragnarok, a campaign of mythical proportions. Last we left our party, they made their way into the Fortress of Hell. I almost said the Fortress of Solitude. The Fortress of Hell, where they, with the help of a god, saved another god, Balder, and Gwyn's two brothers from a curse upon their food. Balder unfortunately had to stay behind as he was a guest of Hel and could not go without her blessing, but in return he sent the rest of you through the Bifrost and into Asgardr, where you all stand before a large figure clad in armor with a horn at his side and a horned helmet with a large sword between him. You see Heimdall. This is the wrong music. I'm just going to go back to this one because it kind of fits.
That's less creepy. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And at first you're blinded by the light of Asgard, but as you take effect, you do see the large armored figure before you. And he doesn't seem to say anything directly. He seems to just look down at you all. That is an Astrid joke. You're not allowed to make that.
All right. Let's see, where am I? There you are. I guess, seeing as how he's my current deity, I'm going to, I guess, not meekly, but I guess not arrogantly, address him, and I'll take a knee. You are Heimdall, are you not?
That I am. And you are Tobias Anderson, are you not?
I am. You have my gratitude for saving us from that precarious situation in Helheim.
Balder called and I answered. And you are the ones who show before Asgard. I have been watching your journey for a while. You'll be happy to know that Odin requests you in his hall. It seems your fate has brought you here for a reason, young mortals.
Tobias kind of looks back at the group and then back at Heimdall. Would you know as to why we were called? Any hint? Seems such grand an honor. We're just curious.
That is for the Allfather to divulge.
That's fair. Um, I suppose it would be rude to keep the Allfather waiting.
Yes. I am to be your escort. Follow me. And he begins taking massive steps.
Oh shit. We have to keep up, and I need control over Ezekiel and Pocky.
Nah, hurry.
Ugh.
Ah.
If you want to give me control of my brothers, I'll bring them with us.
One moment. I can control them. There you have Pocky. Let me give you Ezekiel. There's
Gwen
Ezekiel.
will very, very meekly, like, step on the Bifrost, like, putting out a single foot, like, checking it to make sure that I can actually hold weight.
It is...
Oh, I was gonna say, I think Gudrun does the exact opposite and just, like, walks onto it with full confidence and no regret.
It is very much like the Thor movies, where it is, like, crystalline when you're in Asgard. It is a crystalline light bridge. And he just begins walking further and further until you get a greater view of Asgard as a whole and cross the bridge where you can see various fine wooden buildings set up, a small village that you pass through. You can see multiple halls. You can see an ever-growing tree. And as you walk through Asgard, you notice a figure stop in front of Heimdall. Shorter than Heimdall, not by much. And they begin having a conversation back and forth, kind of leaving your group sitting there for like a minute or two, a few minutes.
Do I know what they're saying?
Give me a perception. Unless you have a feat
17.
that lets you read lips, because I know you have alert. Not alert. What's the other one?
Observant or
I
something?
have... No, I don't have observant. I have, keen mind.
Keen mind, the one that doesn't let you forget anything.
Correct. And I know all the languages.
You know all the languages. So 17, they are speaking in what would be Celestial. And you can hear a back and forth. Heimdall saying, I am supposed to escort them to the Allfather. And you hear a more kind of relaxed voice go back to him saying, oh, don't you worry. You can get back to your guarding of the bridge, and I'll take them off your hands and bring them to Odin perfectly as is. It's a fair trade, is it not? Heimdall pauses for a moment, and you see him turn around to face you all and says, I will be joining you soon at Odin's Hall, but for now, we have found you a new escort for the Allfather. I will be taking my leave. And you see him just kind of walk through your group back towards the bridge. And standing before you now, as you kind of turn back, you see a figure in really fine robes, slicked back hair, a smile on his face and his hands clasped as he looks at all of you and says, Oh my, it is finally nice to meet you all. I've heard so much about you. You know, Heimdall isn't the only one who has sight in places. I have my ins here and there. Tobias, the great warrior that you are, it is so good to finally meet you. And he kind of, almost in like a flash of movement as he says this, he's like right up on you, you know, inspecting you, kind of looking at the armor that you wear and your weapons, and says, "Ooh, I would dread to see you in action." And then he immediately turns to Gwyn and says, well, if it isn't the chosen wizard. You know, that old tree has been speaking quite a lot about you. You're quite favored. It's good to meet you, finally, in the flesh. And then immediately turns to Ezekiel and says, the Master Dwarf. You must tell me all about your adventures through the realms. It's quite rare that your kind leave Nidavellir for more than gathering of materials. And then he looks at Gudrun and says, and Gudrun. Boy,
How do you know my name?
Do I
Oh, wait,
know,
you said you had eyes everywhere.
do I know about you? And then he just turns back to the front of the group, standing maybe a couple feet away from you all, and kind of bows his head and says, "It is my pleasure to welcome you all to Asgard. I do hope you find your stay welcoming."
With his like personality, style, can I try to pinpoint who this is?
You sure can. Give me a history.
Okay.
Can I try this? And it's not gonna go well, but I want to try too.
Sure.
Can I try?
I hope you think he's no one.
Do
Wow.
I recognize this person at all?
You can give me a history as well.
Okay. Oh,
The
geez.
three of you all begin to take in who's in front of you. He's not as tall as Heimdall. He's still tall. He is very much a god. You see that the slicked back, kind of flowing black hair among him. He has this kind of cloak around his shoulders and robes beneath, which give off this greenish hue as you see the green light shine from his eyes.
Oh yeah.
As
Yeah.
before you,
Oh yeah.
in a bow, stands the god of mischief, the god of trickery, the snake, Loki. And as he sees the three of you make recognition, he says, "Oh, well then, I see there won't be any need for introductions, as you've caught on rather quick. Don't you worry. I won't do anything to you here. I have no need for you in Asgard. No need to harm you here. We're all friends. Speaking of friends, I promise you that your friend is, well kept and safe. We've been having rather lovely conversation, the two of us."
Somehow, that makes me concerned more than just if you had just said she was being kept in a prison somewhere.
Methinks they doth protest too much.
Are you Greek? You're going into... You doth?
You just see Kratos in the background. But
Why is doth Greek? It's the Shakespeare.
I don't know. I always feel like whenever I hear things like that, I immediately go to Rome.
and then right behind Kratos is Queen Elizabeth.
So proud. Of course she'd be in Asgard. But
Does Loki respond?
Loki responds with a... Well, I'm not the one to keep prisoners. That's more of Odin's deal. So perhaps consider yourselves lucky. you wouldn't want to gain the eye of the big man. I just crave simple conversation, and that is what me and your ever-lovely princess are having.
Hearing all of this, Gwen does not pipe up, but there is a small look of relief on her face that Astrid vanished, so she didn't quite know what was going on, so to have even a minuscule idea of her whereabouts is somewhat relieving, but she's still very apprehensive about the fact that Astrid may actually be with Loki right now and going through who knows what at this point. But there is a look of relief on her face hearing that Astrid is somewhere and probably safe.
Probably. Maybe. Possibly. Who knows?
I feel like Gudrun is a bit of a having a like coming to God's moment, because she sort of realized that she hasn't really been religious for a long time, and now she's in, you know, their space, and she's like, oh, maybe I should get back into piety. Was I ever into piety? Huh. And kind of going through a bit of an existential crisis. Internally, though. None of this is out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Also, probably thinks Loki's hot, because she low-key thinks everyone's hot.
And not only that, but wherever you've gone, I feel like Gudrun probably doesn't know, but player behind Gudrun would know that wherever you've gone so far, not only Loki, but most of Loki's supporters seem to recognize you.
Oh, yeah. That tracks. Yeah. Cool, it's fine. That's fine.
We're fine.
Everything's fine!
He looks at all of you and says, well now, would you like the tour?
I mean, do we really have a choice? I feel like the answer has to... Right?
I do feel,
Just
Lord
the tour?
Loki, that our presence is needed with the Allfather. Maybe afterwards we could be treated to a tour?
Such bores. Alright, come this way to
I
Odin.
love that he went just a little bit New Yorker there for a second.
Follow me. And he turns on his heel, does a quick 360, and begins walking. Do you all follow?
Yep.
Alright. As you begin following, you pass various buildings. You pass one that seems to be like a sparring section filled with soldiers who are wearing nice armor. You see they have glows to their eyes that you would recognize as, you know, the similar to what Kavak is, you know, the warriors of Asgard. You do occasionally spy a larger than average in height warrior, helmet on, wings ferrying other warriors throughout Asgard. Yes.
Look, if Astrid's not here, then Gudrun's just gonna have to be twice as horny. I think that's just the unfortunate sequence of events.
The unfortunate sequence of events. Bring back Astrid, please.
Would Gwen recognize those as Valkyries?
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, she's just kind of like in awe, like, trying not to get lost as she's walking. She'd probably actually reach out to the nearest person who, judging by the lineup there was before, would actually be Rasmus. So she'll just reach out to the nearest person and hold on to them as she's just like staring in awe at the Valkyrie that are flying around.
You grab onto your brother, and not even he has words. For a mortal not dead to be in Asgard. You turn, look at him. His jaw is dropped as far as it can go.
Yeah, they're both wearing basically the same expression.
But you begin walking past some other buildings, a grouping of halls, one that looks to be like 50, 60 halls all combined together, and you can hear a loud roar of partying and celebration as Loki turns to all of you, now walking backwards, and he says, "Oh, if you're all lucky, you might end up there one day. I've heard that
We're lucky or we're Loki?
That is good. That's a good one. If you're lucky, you'll end up there one day. I even hear your friend, one of your friends, is in there. Quite the death he had, huh? Calling down the very bolts from Thor himself." And you would recognize that he's talking about a massive halls that would be Valhalla. Where, as you kind of watch the various buildings, you can see a figure walking out of them. As Loki says, "Well, speak of the man himself." And you see a large, barrel-chested man with a overflowing horn of mead in one hand and a hammer that sparks to the touch next to him, walking out of the halls of Valhalla. As you see Thor walk out and begin walking the same direction you're walking, actually, towards the Hall of Odin.
The one session where I'm like, damn, I wish Pepper was here so I can hear all of the internal narrations that Astrid would be going through.
Yeah.
Golly.
And if there's nothing from the group, you continue walking to this great hall where a whole host of people are already ready for you. And you walk in, and there's a massive feast occurring with tables upon tables of food and drink as Loki leads you in. And you see at the end of the hall, there are a grouping of various seats as Loki bids you farewell from this tour and sits in a chair, a massive chair, where you can see various other figures sitting. You see in one chair is a one-armed man, large black beard, flowing black hair, clad in armor, who, simple for everyone, you recognize him as the man who stuck his hand in the mouth of Fenrir Tyr. You see another figure, a woman, clad in armor, with a flowing fur coat, or fur... would the word be cape? You know in Game of Thrones when they wear the fur things, are those capes or is there an appropriate word for them?
Perhaps a fur cloak?
Yeah, cloak.
Bless you.
You see a woman with a fur cloak, bright blonde hair, armored, sword at her side. You recognize as Sif. And then there are two chairs at the very end of the hall. One you see seated a beautiful woman, blue robes with runes all over, bright blonde hair. You see Frigga. And finally, in the largest hall, or the largest chair of them all at the very end of the hall, you see a massive guardian, winged helm, flowing white beard, spear at his side, armor clad, with 2 ravens perched upon his shoulders and a single glowing runic eye. You see the Allfather.
I feel like Gudrun, given that has spent the past little while reminding herself that maybe she should have faith, is a little bit overwhelmed by this whole experience, is overwhelmed by how many of them are, and I think is going to just kind of like bow to Odin a little bit, because she doesn't know what else to do, so she's just gonna kind of like be reverent.
And if you suddenly realize there's like this afterlife just full of hot people, you would want to take the first step to like getting there, right?
Yeah, Gudrun. Look, we've worked out some of Gudrun's past, and it turns out that Gudrun was a bit of a hoe. So if all this is where the hot people are, then this is where she's got to go.
I guess Tobias is gonna chuckle seeing Gudrun take the knee, but he will also take the knee in front of the assembly.
Gwen will also take a knee and bow her head as well.
Your brothers do the same. I imagine Ezekiel's just like, oh, look at these gods, they're my old friends.
Know them.
You should kneel! Yes, I'll kneel. I'm wondering what kind of chili they have here. And then Ezekiel will kneel after Pocky does.
You see the hall kind of go quiet as from atop his chair, Odin sits up straight and calls out, "Ah, my esteemed guests have arrived. The lot of you approach. Stand."
Yep.
Gwen's up and approaching until he tells her to stop. Slowly approaching.
I think Gudrun's confidently approaching.
Tobias is approaching, neither confident nor meek, just focusing intently on his surroundings and the gods before him.
And you do all notice each of the various gods, while the rest of the building has kind of gone back to feasting and drinking, all of the gods have their eyes on you.
Sorry, I should have muted when I felt such a big sneeze.
You hear Loki tisk tisk at your sneeze.
God, Loki, you're not even going to say bless you? God.
Odin says, "I must thank you for your honor and courage, as I hear you've brought a gift from hell with you."
Yes, this is from Baldur, and Gwen will take off the ring and hold her hand out, waiting for the approval to approach, because she doesn't want to. The last person she wants to piss off is the guy in front of her.
He holds out his hand for you to give him the ring, and his hand is massive.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, I will approach close enough to properly place the ring in his hand, and then step back with the rest of the group.
Okay. You see he takes the ring and says, "You've shown, as I've mentioned, courage and honor in delivering this ring to me. which is why you should feel even more honored that I, Odin, father of the gods, require a task of you. But that is not for here. Go, join your warriors, your brethren, feast, and for after we shall discuss.
Tobias is gonna look around, and kind of just stick near Gwen and put a hand over her shoulder, and I guess he's gonna look for like an opening where at least 3 of them can probably take a seat. 5 or more would be better.
Roll me and athletics. You go to try and grab a seat. You are able to get a seat, but with the host of people, you grab a seat. You're able to grab maybe Gwyn next to you, but so many people are just shuffling, moving around. You're probably going to have to pull in some extra chairs or benches to be able to sit your whole party.
Okay. I'll make do with the one if everyone else is, content looking for a seat. I'm sure Gudrun is looking for a table full of hot people.
I mean, like, are these not all tables full of hot people? Like,
which, it's funny, as you guys are kind of struggling to find a seat, you do hear Odin pipe up and say, he doesn't scream it, but he has a tone of authority as he says, "Is this how the warriors of Asgard treat honored guests of the gods?" And you see the entire room go quiet. Look at your group, and a table immediately freeze up.
Gudrun regally walks over to this table like she's earned it, when really she's just kind of been tagging along with this group. She hasn't helped, but like, she 100% crown on top of her head as she walks towards that table that is clearly meant for her.
Looking around, do I see any fallen soldiers from the Icy Crow clan? Anybody I would know?
Give me a perception.
Sure. Bless you.
Sorry, I tried to breathe iced tea.
You notice there are a good grouping of Icy Crows. You're not sure if you really recognize them. Some do seem to be young. Some seem to be older men who have clearly died in battle. You notice a good amount of Odin's eye as well. One who does catch out to your eye, actually, is one of... let me get his name. Is one of Oleg Greytail's archers who joined you in the battle for Hailhofen. Who was he was the wolf of... They were the Wolf of Shadows.
I will make a... if he's looking in our direction, I will make a valiant effort to wave at him. Not as like a super crazy wave, but like an acknowledgement of him and be like, yes, I know you know us, I know you. That type of response.
You acknowledge. He holds up a cup of mead in like a, and nods his head in return.
Awesome.
And give me an insight with advantage.
Okay, I'm great at those. Definitely the insight character of this game. Wow.
You can see he turns to some of the other warriors and considering the reverence you've gotten from Odin, you can see him kind of. You read his lips maybe a little bit because this room is very loud. There's a party going on, and you can kind of see him bragging, like, "I know those guys.
Awesome.
I fought with them."
I think Tobias will take a seat last, making sure the party's staying relatively together. But I'll start digging in, I suppose. I'm wondering if it's possible. This is my last precaution. If it's possible to kind of read the room and see if there's anything that doesn't add up.
Okay. You can roll a perception.
All right. I almost wanted to ask for guidance, but I feel like that's kind of a dead giveaway in this situation. So I'll just roll regular perception, and I will roll my Oracle's Insight on this. Okay, 22.
You can tell that there is nothing off-putting. There's nothing out of the ordinary. You're looking around. You can gather the vibes of the feel of the room are very, party. Let's have a good time, and you can definitely safely assume that if anyone tried anything under the watchful eye of Odin, Odin saved them.
Okay, yeah. That was just Tobias's last check to see if maybe it's all a trick, but no, this is actually happening.
You are actually in Asgard. You are actually before the gods. This is real.
Yeah.
Confirmed real. So does your party just sit down and eat?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a
dig in.
tankard of mead and start enjoying myself.
All right, you all sit down, eat, drink. It is some of the best food and drink you've had in a long, long time, possibly ever. This is meat and drink of Asgard. And if there's no conversation to be had, time will pass.
I think Ezekiel would be taking as many notes as he can.
Do you want to roll a survival?
Yeah, I'll roll a survival on his part. And who would be the god of the hunt? I guess he wasn't introduced, but Freyr. I'd probably ask Freyr for some guidance to help this dwarf prepare the meats of the wilds more efficiently.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Do I have... Yep, there you are, Ezekiel. Is he leveled up? Oh, he hasn't leveled up yet. Okay, I'm going to add a 2 to this because it should be. And then I'll go ahead and roll the d4. So that's a dirty 20.
All right, Ezekiel's able to successfully take notes and jot down what spices were used, and perhaps in the future we'll be able to recreate some of the meals that you are dining on in this hall.
Sweet.
So I'm assuming that Rasmus is still probably still in like a shocked state, but how's Halford handling this? Halvard.
You can give me another insight with advantage.
17.
17. You do see that throughout this entire walk and time spent, he has been in awe, but he is trying to do the like the strong, silent type of not trying to show it.
Nah.
Considering, you can probably gather, considering everything that not only him, but you have been through, he doesn't want to show a crack of a smile on his face in front of you. But you can tell he's enjoying this.
Oh, good.
Let's see, I'm gonna roll something. Where is your sheet? There it is. You see in between bites of food, your eldest brother does catch your eye and kind of see you staring at him. And he says, What? What are you looking at?
I just never thought... Well, I didn't... With everything... Sorry, my Rasmus is talking.
Shut up!
With everything that happened and everything we have gone through separately, I never thought that I would see you alive, much less alive in Asgard. So I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, and thankful.
Well, it's not like our family hasn't been through worse.
I don't know about that, Halvard. Her parents are dead, her brother is dead. We ended up dealing with the rune thief, and then we got shipped to Helheim, and so did you, and now we're in Asgard. I would say that this is pretty new for the things that our family has been through, dear brother.
Well, new experiences to strengthen ourselves is better than staying weak.
After all of this, do you still view me as weak?
He pauses for a moment. And says, Let's see. I am going to roll something. I'm going to make 2 rolls, actually.
Okay.
Wow! Okay. He says, to think that you are the reason that we are brought before the gods. And I've made it through all of this. And he looks at you very sternly, like staring into your soul, like directly at you, and says, At the very least, I do consider you my sister.
To that, and hiding her shock as best she can, she will hold up a mug of mead to her brother.
And he holds up one as well.
And together they drink for the first time in their lives as siblings.
Mm-hmm. And you see your other brother is just overjoyed at this. I mean, granted, he was ready to kill you. Both, Rasmus and Halvard. But Rasmus seems a bit happier that the family is back. And that he doesn't have to kill you.
Yay!
Isn't it so great when family comes together and doesn't kill each other?
Yeah.
It's so great. Murder others instead of each other. It's the new family bond now, apparently.
Anything from Gudrun during this feast?
I think she's just reevaluating her religious principles and deciding who is the hottest people here. And only vaguely remembering that she's an old lady who shouldn't be considering how hot everybody is.
False. It doesn't matter what age you are. You should be considering everybody out there to be gorgeous.
I mean, that is pretty much Gudrun's mentality.
Give me a perception.
Is this a perception for hot people? Because thank you.
Give me a perception.
Pretty low for me.
15.
Do I find any hot people?
As you're seeing there, or maybe you're even wandering around. You're on the prowl.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
A figure actually kind of brushes past you and begins just walking with you side by side. And you turn and you see the figure to actually be about your size, human. Well, standing up straight. I think Gudrun's crouched down a bit, right?
Yeah. Gudrun looks shorter than she is.
But he's standing up straight. He is of Midgardian size. However, you turn and look, and despite being of Midgardian size, Loki is walking side by side with you. And he says, "Time has not been kind on you, dear Gudrun. What has happened? Tell me your story."
I mean, I think, Gudrun has obviously been cagey with her adventurous friends, but mostly to try to hide the fact that she has no clue what's going on up there. And I think something about Loki asking her point blank what her story is, there's a little fear in her eyes of shit, she don't know. She don't know her story. And she don't know whether or not she can lie to the god of tricks and lies.
Yeah, try lying to the god of lies.
I think she's smart enough to know that isn't gonna go well.
Well,
and
you know the classic saying, you can always try.
I can always try. Maybe she can try to be. Oh god, my charisma's not even good. Okay, what's the point of having 3 good stats if none of them are Grizz?
Someone quote that, please. I think as Gudrun is kind of maybe looking dumbfounded, Loki does actually offer an empty seat to her at a table away from the party.
I mean, Loki's hot, so she's not gonna say no. You know?
And for one thing, the entire party noticed, despite the various visions at least Astrid was having of Loki, his lips are not sewn shut. He is very much talking with an open smile and non-bleeding face.
Right. A good face. Good, less creepy face. I think she's gonna try to respond in like a nonchalant, like, oh, you know, I've been around. Like, oh, you know, just adventuring and doing the whole saving the world thing, I guess. No big deal.
Oh, well, how far you have come. From but humble beginnings to working under the Allfather. My, oh my. Oh.
I'm so torn with between having her ask, what the hell do you mean by that, and trying to put up a good front of, I know exactly what you mean.
As you're thinking that, you do see Loki begin like you know, like waving his hand and like doting a little bit, like in sadness, and he says, "Oh, but what a shame that dear old Gudrun has forgotten me. Oh, you really plunged that dagger right into my heart. You know that."
Now she's just confused. I mean, I knew who you were. I didn't forget about you. You're Loki, the god of stuff, you know? Can't forget about you.
Oh, but you have forgotten the more finer details. How unfortunate. What a shame.
I think Gudrun, like, is trying to look not as unsettled as this experience is making her, and probably, like, has a big sip of beer or stuffs her face with food of some sort to kind of, like, get out of having to say anything. But also, she's turned on. You know, this is the problem.
He begins to stand out of his seat and says, "Well, I'll leave you to your drink then. If you remember anything, do find me."
I remember anything?
And he gives you a wink and then is suddenly gone. And as you're looking around, you just simply see him back in his chair, as if he never left.
Gudrun is 100% questioning whether or not that happened all in her head or in real life. Because she would not put it past being all in her head.
And for the rest of the party, as you're eating, you do notice that Gudrun has wandered off.
Some things never change. I know better than to question it.
Not concerned.
Not concerned at all.
Gudrun could go off and hang out with Loki for hours and y'all wouldn't even know. Because you'd be unconcerned.
I'll do you one better. Tobias could literally watch Gudrun get engulfed by lava and still be like, she'll be here tomorrow. That's fine.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, that tracks. I feel like Gudrun just likes to pop up in weird ways, you know?
No, we talked about this before the stream, before the recording session even started. Like, this is one of those characters that just will never die. Ginger, like, you don't get a choice. Like, this character stays alive.
Gudrun, believe it or not, is the final boss of Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok.
Gudrun is actually Surtur.
Oh, jeez. I can hear Astrid in the background. Ah, no!
Yep. Yep. Pepper would be having a field day with that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pepper / Astrid. I'm conflating them into one person at this moment.
Well, to be fair, when Astrid takes over, they are of one mind. Even outside of game, I believe they are of one mind. That Gudrun is just going to bring the ruin of everyone.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past her. Not intentionally, but yeah.
And now,
If any of our characters would accidentally start Ragnarok, it would be Gudrun.
Gudrun has Loki whispering in her ear.
And he's hot, so it's bad.
Eventually.
I love that you have hot version and Astrid has gross version.
Oh my god! It's true! Oh, that's funny.
I can't wait for you to explain what Loki looks like to Astrid. Because she's going to be like, that's not what he looks like. And you're going to be like, yeah, that's what he looks like.
Eventually,
That's what he looks like.
time passes in the party, and you all notice that it seems to be eternal daytime, almost. The lights do not dim this hall, but people do eventually begin leaving. Even the gods themselves begin leaving, and eventually it is just you, your group, and Odin. And Odin says, I do hope all of you have enjoyed your fair share of dining. But now that is over, I have a task that I would require of you.
Yes, of course, Allfather. What do you need?
It concerns another ring. A ring that is very dear to me. This ring, and Varanata, was gifted to me by the king. Was gifted by me to the king Hreidmar as compensation for the death of his son, accidentally caused during a hunting expedition. But you see, this ring has struck this royal family, and they are corrupted by greed, with Hreidmar's children insisting their father give it to them, which led to the king's very own son, Fafnir, to kill him and banish his brother from Nidavellir. I ask that you ride the Bifrost once more and descend it to the night world. Reach Nidavellir and retrieve this ring from Fafnir in the realm of the dwarves.
Your will be done. Does Ezekiel would know, right? Ezekiel would know his way around the realm of the dwarves.
That is actually a question that I feel like might be left up to the air, considering he didn't know his own dwarven capabilities.
Oh shit, okay. Okay. I guess, is Loki still around?
All of the gods except Odin have left the room.
Okay. I think Tobias would be wondering, because for them this would have been like a full day's worth of activity. Is there like a resting place before they head out? Tobias would assume that Heimdall would just launch them in the direction of the dwarf plane of existence, but like, is there some place that we can sleep?
Odin would say, don't you worry. For tonight, before you take on this task, I will have my finest attendees show you rooms give you the clothing of gods, and treat you like one of our own. You will have your night's rest, young Tobias.
Very well.
I will call for one of my attendees now to lead you when you leave this hall. And you see him turn, whisper something to one of the ravens on his shoulder, and it takes off through a window.
Gwen will pipe up, feeling brave thanks to the mead, and say, Allfather, I would like to meet the wise Mimir if he is available, and express my gratitude for all of his assistance that he has given me throughout this journey.
He looks at you with a curious but knowing look on his face. And he says, Mimir, yes. You will have your time with him, young child, but today is not that day. But do know he watches you, and he awaits.
Thank you, Allfather. And she will give him a respectable bow, and then look to her brothers, and then look back at Odin and say, for this journey that lies ahead, would my brothers here be joining us on this journey, or will they be sent back to Midgard?
They are welcome here in Asgard, for I have tasks for them, and solely them as well.
Yeah, to that, Gwen just looks kind of shocked and looks back at her brothers like, oh, y'all gonna stay here again? What's their reactions to this news?
They seem... Rasmus is taken aback and is surprised that the Allfather is requesting something of him. And he's still, upright. He kind of maybe fumbles back onto his seat. But something you've never noticed before in your eldest brother, Halvard. Despite being of Icy Crow, he almost immediately, falls to his knees in respect towards Odin. And just silently sits there for a moment, and then gets back up with a renewal in him as he stands up straight.
Yeah, seeing the reactions, the two very different but very much the same reactions. Gwen will look back at Odin and say, Allfather, you have two of the most reliable men that I know willing to work for you here within my brothers. So I know that they will do you proud.
As you say that, you see the raven fly in, land on Odin's shoulder, almost as if it's whispering something to him. And he says, Now, my attendee should be waiting for you outside the hall to show you your rooms and your care. I wish you luck, young mortals.
Yep, I will give Odin a deep bow of gratitude and say, we shall return with the ring that you seek, Allfather. And with that, I will turn and start my way out to meet the attendees.
Okay. Anything else from Tobias or Gudrun, or do they turn and begin walking out as well?
I think I'm good. I think I just follow out. Had a bit of an existential crisis. Looked at some hot people. I'm good.
I think Tobias is good. He'll walk out.
Okay. You all push open the heavy wooden doors of the hall where you are met by a lone figure. A familiar figure. A cliffhanger figure.
How dare you?
All right, if we must.
Dun dun dun!
And we will find out who that figure is in session 34 on this journey to Ragnarok. But for now, we shall say goodbye to YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Goodbye, YouTube. And as always, goodbye and stay sweet.